Welcome everyone to our presentation today on how to get funding for digital marketing and search engine optimization in particular. We are joined by two guests in this area that are going to give us some great tips on how you can get funding to grow your business, and as well, what are some of the great ways to use that funding to scale your business digitally. My name is Munir Nawab. I'm the founder of a digital agency called Crowdlinker. I'll tell you more about my business and the different offerings that I bring as well. But I also want to take a moment to introduce our guests for today's session, and also I want to acknowledge the people who are joining us live on the call. So thank you for taking the time to join us live. This is being recorded, and so we're going to be making this available to others in our community who weren't able to join us live as well. But we appreciate those of you who are joining us live. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions as well when the time comes, and have a chance to introduce yourselves. We'd love to know what brings you to our session today, and how we can help you further as well. So I'd like to first go ahead and just introduce our guests, and then I'm gonna take the floor again and talk a bit more about myself. But I just want to acknowledge our two guest speakers today on the call. And so first of all, we have Ali Abbas. So Ali, if you can come onto the camera and just say hi. So Ali is an SEO specialist. Ali worked with me for many years at Crowdlinker, so I've seen the great caliber of his work as a digital marketer and as an SEO consultant. So he's helped to grow many businesses from virtually nothing in the Google rankings up to like dominating their categories. And so he's an expert at that. So go ahead, Ali, just say hi.
No pressure. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, hi, I'm Ali. I really hope I can help you guys. I used to actually teach SEO. I've been teaching SEO for about 5 years. I've been running my own consultancy for about 2 years. Me and Munir used to work at Crowdlinker together as well. Did some pretty big plays in the insurance space, in some of the more SaaS space as well. So I'm really hoping to help everyone here, and I would love to learn a little bit more about how I can help you guys. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you, Ali, for that. And next, I'll just give a shout out to Nazar. Nazar is also on the call. So Nazar is a grant writer. He helps businesses obtain funding, both government grants as well as loans from top tier banks, as well as other lenders. So he's given us his time today to tell us more about how he can help small and medium-sized businesses. I'll give you a moment, Nazar, as well, just to say hi.
Thank you, Munir. Hello, everyone. My name is Nazar. I founded Ajero Business Consulting in 2019 to help entrepreneurs and small business owners, be eligible and find grants and loans. I'm very passionate about it because, people, when they get to work with me, they actually get to learn a lot of things that they thought they knew, but they actually had no idea that, there's more. You don't know what you don't know, in a nutshell. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of that with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Nazar. Okay, and so we're gonna go through our presentation, and I'd like to as well give other people in the audience a chance to introduce themselves. But once we go through the presentation, so just keep that in mind if you want to introduce yourself, or maybe you have something you want to share with the community as well. We'll give you a chance to introduce yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and and give a little brief presentation about myself. And in particular, I want to talk about one grant that I've been very much involved in, and my team has been involved in, and that is the CDAP grant, the Canadian Digital Adoption Program. So I'm going to be talking to you a little bit more about that. So I have a brief presentation here that I'm just going to share with you, just basically sharing some websites. So give me a moment to share that with you. So as I was mentioning, I am the founder of a digital agency named Crowdlinker. We got started as a company about 10 years ago. It's been 10 and a half years since we started. And primarily, we're a digital agency. And so primarily, we do software development of different kinds, custom software development. This means everything from marketing websites to mobile applications, and as well working with like tech companies and startups to help augment their teams to work on their products, working on a lot of cutting edge technologies like blockchain and artificial intelligence and things like that as well these days. And so we worked with a lot of well-known companies that you might have heard of, companies like Shopify, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, FreshBooks, NBC Universal, as well as a lot of startup companies that you may or may not have heard of. So some of them are listed here on the screen. And so we have a team of almost 30 people spread out mostly across Canada, but as well around the world. And so these are people like developers, software developers, UI UX designers, product and project managers, and the like. Right, so all kinds of different capabilities within the team. And so there's a lot of breadth of expertise that we bring to the table just on the digital side alone. But and so that's how we really got into the search engine optimization, and that was kind of our journey as well, because as we started to create these marketing websites for companies, often a lot of them then would come to us and they wanted to know how they could also rank at the top of Google. So that's how we got into search engine optimization almost a decade ago. And Ali was one of the first consultants in that space that we brought on to work with us. We also have a digital marketing division. And so we have a lot of expertise in the digital marketing area. We have partners that we can leverage to help grow your business online. And this includes things like paid traffic through Google and Facebook, as well as search engine optimization, social media marketing, creating funnels, landing pages, these sorts of things. So amongst the company, we have a lot of expertise in all areas of digital. So that makes us really well suited to work on this new government program called CDAP, so the Canada Digital Adoption Program. It's one of the many different grant opportunities that are available and that we'll be bringing to your attention today. But this is a particularly valuable one. It's only been out for a little less than a year, and so it provides up to a total of $115,000 in funding to help scale your business digitally. And how that's broken down is there's a $15,000 grant. Now this grant would go towards a service provider like the ones that we have on our team that would be recognized as an official digital advisor through the program. So it's only certain people who are able to administer these digital adoption plans. So that's what you would get with that funding. You would get a digital adoption plan. The scope of that plan is very specific. We can provide you with an example of what that looks like, but it's usually like a 20-page document which goes into detail in up to 3 areas of your business. So it could be certain areas of digital marketing, for example, search engine optimization and paid advertising, for example, as well as maybe a third area having to do with some kind of internal software that you're using, a CRM, workplace collaboration software, or something like that. If you're already a technology-focused company, it could be something to do with your own technology, an app that you have, or something of those sorts. Security. So the uses are very broad. In fact, on this page, which I'll share in the chat, we've listed off many of the different use cases here, and you can see there's a lot. So everything from your website, like updating your website, social media, paid advertising, SEO, email marketing, CRMs, online advertising, productivity, and that's a huge bucket. What productivity can mean a lot of things. Basically, anything you can think of that is digital is pretty much probably covered under this program. So the use cases are very broad. Now, that's for the digital adoption plan part. Now, once you complete the digital adoption plan, you would pretty much be guaranteed, pending certain verifications, but it's you're pretty much a shoo-in to get this interest-free loan through the BDC. And this is interest-free for up to 6 years. It's up to $100,000, depending on your revenue level. And this can go towards those same sorts of digital initiatives that I spoke about a moment ago. So this kind of stems from applying for the digital adoption plan. Once that's approved, you're invited to apply for this. And so because it's being guaranteed by the federal government, the usual bank qualification metrics don't apply in the same way. So there's a lot more flexibility in getting this funding, even if you've had trouble getting funding from the BDC or any other lender in the past. This is a whole different set of criteria. It's not to say that everybody will automatically get guaranteed, but the chance, we haven't seen anyone not receive this funding, everyone that we worked with on this. All right, and there's also a wage subsidy program. I'm not going to go into details about that, but that's also another benefit that comes from this. So the process is pretty simple. I mean, you could reach out to us. I'll put this page, the link to this page in the chat, and you can book a time to chat with me or someone on my team. It will open up a calendar here, and you can book some time to chat with us. And but an important thing to keep in mind is the eligibility criteria for this. So in order to be eligible for this funding, you need to be a Canadian company for profit. You need to have at least 1 employee on payroll and less than 500. So this isn't for huge companies. And most importantly, you need to have done at least $500,000 in revenue in one of the last 3 tax years. So this is a sticking point for some companies. So if you're in that, if you think you qualify, and this could be a great source of funding for you. If not, Nazar is going to be talking about some other funding options as well. So stay tuned for those. And also, I'd like to bring to your attention that we also have a referral program. So if you have someone in your network that you think might qualify, do refer them to us. We do have a referral program, and I'd be happy to tell you more about that, how that works. And as well, sometimes we work with other service providers. So if you're kind of in this digital space and you're providing any of these kinds of services, there might be an opportunity for you to get involved, because there's a lot of funding here, as you can see, that's made available. And we can work with other providers to help offer some of these services, because we can't do everything ourselves, and there is no obligation for the clients to work with one vendor or another. So there's a lot of areas to get involved. So if you're in this digital services area, please, you can reach out to me, and we can see how we can collaborate as well. So that's a little bit about the CDAP program. I'm going to leave the link to this page in the chat here. And we'll share that at the end of this. We'll share this as well as other links on the whiteboard, so that anyone watching this afterwards can take advantage of the links. All right, and now with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ali, who's going to give a brief rundown about SEO. Ali, so we've got about 10 minutes for you, Ali. So whenever you're ready.
Yeah, hey. So in 10 minutes, what I'm gonna try and do is I'll leave a little bit of time in at least 2 minutes for just questions. If I had a little bit more time, I would try to learn about what businesses everyone's in, but I'm just gonna assume it's small, medium business, like myself and Munir kind of talked about. So I'm gonna dive right into my presentation. And my presentation is basically, I'm gonna walk everyone through how I would go about building a roadmap that I can execute myself as a solo business owner, because I know that's the position a lot of people might be in this room, where they're kind of just starting off, they don't want to invest too much, in which case I think I can probably teach you enough to kind of take some of these responsibilities in-house, or at least learn where you are in the marketplace so you can set reasonable goals for yourself. So with that being said, let me just dive right into it. I'll send everyone this link right here, so everyone can follow along. And basically the presentation, it was actually designed, I'm a guest lecturer at Ryerson for one of their entrepreneurial courses. So what I try to teach students is how to basically size up your website against your competitors. So basically what you're seeing right here are two different presentations. One is a template that you can use to execute for your own business. So after this call, you'll be able to execute everything that I've kind of outlined. And the other one is just a presentation where I've gone ahead and I've audited. So I took the stance that I'm entrepreneur.com, or entrepreneur.com is a company that hired me, and I'm basically doing an audit for them, where Forbes and Inc. magazine are their competitors. So I'll quickly take everyone through this presentation right now. So of course you can kind of read what an SEO audit is, but just if I was to give you a short answer, it's basically used to highlight any issues and learn about new opportunities, usually from your competitors. And that's why you would go ahead and do an SEO audit. The first thing that I would want to see is domain authority. Once again, I don't think we have enough time for me to go into what domain authority is, but you can go ahead and read the definition over here, or Google it for a more detailed explanation. But the first thing we want to look at is domain authority and how big your website is in comparison to your competitors. So basically, I'll give you a quick rundown of what domain authority is right now as well. So domain authority is basically how much Google trusts you. So this was basically a score that, let's say, in 2012, it actually existed, where Google used to give every single website a rating. And this rating is from 0 to 100. And the closer you are to 100, the more Google trusts you and the more likely you are to rank for competitive keywords. So that's why domain rating is really important, because if you have a domain rating of, let's say, 20, and your competitors have a domain rating of 92, that means you are far less authoritative than them, and you're going to have to do a lot more work to rank for some of the competitors, against some of the competitors. Whereas if you are in a position where your domain authority is 60 and your competitors are 20, that means you're very well positioned to go after some competitive keywords. Now, what happened was, I think in like 2012, Google stopped giving this rank. So what tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs and all these other SEO tools did was they started to create their own version of that rating. And essentially, this rating is a combination of a lot of different factors. So you have, how long your website has existed, how many backlinks your website has, how much content your website has, and also how many pages are indexed. So this is the other thing you would want to find out about your competitors, is how big their website is in comparison to, once again, your competitors. If your website is way smaller, that means you would probably want to add more pages. If your website is 10x larger, then you might want to delete a few pages, because a smaller, because like you don't want to be the biggest website in your niche, and you don't want to be the smallest website in your niche. You want to be somewhere probably in between. And that's just a rule of thumb. But yeah, so you basically want to know how big your competitors' websites are. And an easy way to do that is if you just take the URL and you go into Google. This will tell you all the pages that are currently in Google's index of your website. So you just kind of put in your URL with this right here. And basically it's telling me that Google has indexed 276,000 pages from entrepreneur.com. So this is the first step. You want to make sure your website is even getting indexed, because if you have no pages indexed, that means Google's not going to be sending you any traffic. And that means you have a technical problem in your website. You have to take it to a developer and they'll just quickly fix it for you. It's not a complicated problem to fix. So if we come back here, we can basically analyze that, okay, every single person that we're competing against has a good domain rating. So we're kind of on par with them. But the interesting thing here is that we have the least amount of pages that are currently being indexed. So we want to probably check that out and just basically understand what are these pages that the competitor has that we don't, and if there's an opportunity for growth. These are some of the tools you can use to find this measure. They all have their own way of saying it, but you can find this number from these resources right here. Before I go any further, any questions? All good? Okay. So now we go into keywords. So I want to look at all the keywords that my competitors are ranking for. So how I can do this is there's a whole bunch of tools. So there's a couple of free tools. There's a couple of paid tools. What I would recommend is if you're actually serious about going into SEO, just get the 7-day free trial of SEMrush, and you can basically pull all your competitors' information, and then you have it in a spreadsheet. And that way you don't have to continue paying it, because it's like $100, maybe $200 to get a license. So you can just get a 7-day trial and pull all the information. So now we take it into SEMrush, for example, where we're looking at how much keywords they're ranking for and how much traffic they actually have. So it looks like our competitor Inc. is almost basically the same amount of keywords that are ranking. And when I say ranking keywords, that means they have a keyword which has a search volume of at least 20 a month, 20 searches a month, that's in the top 100 spots on Google. So you can see over here that Forbes is kind of kicking entrepreneurs. Yeah, they have a lot more. They almost have 10 times the amount of keywords being indexed. So we wanna probably check that out. We can also see the estimated traffic. So that's a lot higher in comparison to our own traffic. And basically how I'm finding these numbers is you just go to SEMrush, you put in your site, and you can see all that information right here. So 1.2 organic traffic, keywords 1.2 million. These numbers might be a little bit outdated. That's why you're seeing the discrepancy. But yeah, so you can kind of check that out. Same thing with Forbes, you can check that out. So 56 million, 20 million keywords. So you would want to check all your competitors and where they're kind of how much traffic they have. And essentially you can use these tools. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to segment the content into different buckets. So basically what you're doing here is that you can go into, let's say Forbes. If we go into Forbes, they're ranking for 20 million keywords. I would actually recommend you do it on your own website first, just see what you're currently ranking for. And you can see over here, there's a lot of advantages to SEO. So this number is basically telling me that Forbes is getting almost $150 million worth of free traffic every single month, just because they're ranking for so many terms. Obviously, that number is going to go down once I start taking out their brand name and stuff like that. But you can see over here what kind of keywords are driving all their traffic. So you would probably want to sort of go through this, and depending on how. So Forbes has a very high authority. And we also have a very high authority. But if you don't have a high authority and your competitors do have a high authority, you probably just want to do something like this. So make sure you're, looking at top 20 traffic, because that makes all the results very relevant. Otherwise, you're going to get results that are ranking for position 100, which aren't very relevant. Then you want to take the keyword difficulty. You want to make it, only up to 30. So this is going to give us their least competitive keywords. And then in terms of volume, you want it to be at least 1,000. So let's see how many keywords we come up with. So you can see over here from, like almost 50 million keywords. Now we're only down to 5.8 thousand keywords, which is driving almost 800,000 in traffic. And then they're realizing about $2 million per month in free traffic from ranking from these keywords. And these are all very easy for us to rank for. So you can see over here, and you can kind of go through these keywords. You can find trends, what kind of keywords are working. And when you do it for all your competitors, you're going to see that certain keywords keep coming up over and over again that you don't have, and you would probably want to add those. You can also check out the top pages. And this will give you an idea as to where this traffic is actually going in terms of the pages. And then you can start recreating some of those pages and just making it better. But essentially, after this exercise is done, you want to know what are the top funnel keywords. So like the top funnel is basically people who are kind of, interested in your content or interested in your market, but they're not really showing any signs of conversion. So, these were some like top funnel. So like best quotes for entrepreneurs. That's not going to lead to a conversion, but at least they come on your website. At least they kind of have like a presence on your website, and at least they get exposed to your brand. And there's like millions of people searching this. So it's worthwhile for you to invest effort into it. And then you have like middle funnel terms where people are kind of asking for solutions to problems your product solves. So you have like how-tos, how to do this, how to do that. Those are kind of middle funnel terms. And then you have bottom funnel terms, which are basically people are looking. So if you look at a funnel, it's like 97% of people are in the top and middle. They're not ready to convert. There's only 3% of people who are ready to convert. And that's what the bottom funnel kind of solves. So you have a lot of intent. So you're kind of saying, hey, this is the best credit card software for entrepreneurs or whatever. I can show you how we did it for another one of our clients. So basically what we did was we took all their services, and basically this is an email automation service. So like they do email automations for different companies. So what we did was we took all their services, made them into pages. So you can see over here, it looks the same as the homepage. We just changed a couple of keywords. And then what we did was we started, we started building the exact same page with a couple of different keywords for all these different locations. So now, like for example, this term is hard to rank for. So email marketing agency is difficult to rank for, but email marketing agency San Francisco, email marketing agency Markham, email marketing agency Toronto is a lot easier to rank for. So basically we created the same pages for all the locations. We've also done it for other companies. So this is another example I'll show you. So this is one of Canada's biggest online pharmacies. So you can see over here, basically medication delivery is a very hard term to rank for. So we basically medication delivery in Campbell River, medication delivery in Bradford or whatever. So like the online pharmacy, once again, competitive term, but not competitive when it becomes Bradford's online pharmacy, because the population is like 30,000 people. They probably have like 2 pharmacies that you're competing against, and probably only one of them is online. So yeah, that's how we kind of, and all these pages are basically the same, to be honest with you. So if you go back here, so you're kind of looking for these types of terms. So you need long form content, so you can attract links. You can do a lot of topical relevance. So you're basically like Google is smart enough to know whether your website is an expert at something, and you can really only be an expert at one thing. So for this specific person, what we did was, like, we just wrote a whole bunch of blogs on like email marketing and like email automation. So we put out a lot of long form blog posts, which actually help these pages rank because we link back to them. So yeah, once you have that, you can use these tools, Answer the Public, BuzzSumo, Ahrefs. Link building, I'll quickly go over it. Actually, Munir, I'll probably just like stop here because like I'm not even. Yeah, it's gonna take me like 5-10 minutes more otherwise.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ali. And Yeah, please put your contact info in the
Yeah.
chat. We'll throw it up on the whiteboard at the end of the presentation. And yeah, thank you for sharing that, Ali. Really, what I want to stress, my main takeaway from your talk as well, is the power of search engine optimization. And it's a science, and it requires skill and effort. And it's not something that's necessarily easy. From what I've seen, like, it's a bit of an investment. Even just setting up like a base level audit and a plan can cost some money. And then there's an ongoing commitment, like usually like 6 months plus, to actually do the work to get the SEO going and ranking, so that includes like adding more content on the site, making sure it's SEO optimized, making sure that the website has all the technical elements for SEO, and as well then creating these backlinks, getting links back to the site so that the site ranks better. And so it's not necessarily an easy or a cheap thing, but it has huge long-term benefits, right? And so getting that almost like free traffic over time can be really, really valuable if you put in that upfront investment. And that's why some of these grant programs and loan programs are really, really valuable, because they can actually fund something like SEO or a really comprehensive digital marketing campaign. So I wanted to share that as my 2 cents. All right,
Yeah.
so we don't have a ton of time, so I want to give Nizar a bit of time to talk as well. So as I mentioned, Nizar is a grant writer. He's a business consultant in general, but grant writing is one of the things he specializes in. And he also helps small, medium-sized businesses get business loans. So I'll let Nizar talk a little bit more about what he does and how he can help you.
Thank you, Manir. Hello again, everyone. So as you know, for example, when we saw the CDAP, process, not everyone can be eligible for it. So, and that's the nature of some of the grants and or loans, from the government. However, there are other programs as mentioned, but there's one that's my actually favorite, because it's very flexible. It's a business loan from BDC, and it's up to 100K. The requirements are much more simpler than the CDAP. So the main 2 things are, you need to have 2 fiscal years on your business when you're making a certain amount of revenue, depending on what amount you're applying for, because you can apply up to 100K. So you can be applying for anywhere from like 20K up to the 100K. And the second requirement is that you have a good credit score, which is above 600. So as you can see, the eligibility criteria here is much simpler. And that's just one of many examples I can provide, but I'm just throwing this out there because it's usually the most common one that most business owners or entrepreneurs would be eligible for. The other thing that I would like to clarify about grants is there are many types of grants. There's a one-time payment, and there's some kind of funding plan. So which means when you apply for a specific grant, you can get it over a period of 5 years, maybe 10 years, and that depends on if you're applying for that kind of grant. Another type of grant is if you're applying for where the government asks you need to put 50% of your money down before we commit to putting our other 50%. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is that sometimes there can be false perceptions about grants, that it's a free money and it's a one-time thing. No, it's actually more complicated than that. And again, it has its either requirements or a longer term duration, where with business loans, it's usually more straightforward. You get the money quicker. And one of the beauties of business loans is that it's a pool you can dip into at any time. And what I mean by that is that, let's say you applied for a 70K loan and you've already paid back 30K. So you owe 40K, and you decided, well, I need more money again. okay, so you can actually borrow again from the 30K that you've already paid. So that's one of the amazing perks of these business loans, is that you have this pool where you can always dip into at any time whenever you need funds to grow your business and take it to the next level. And the process, of course, is much more quicker to follow up with a dedicated account manager rather than following up with a grant officer who might be taking their time because they're usually overloaded with lots of applications from different applicants, and they are understaffed, as we always know. So I'm just gonna end this here and wait for your questions, because I'm sure some of you might have some. So I'll just pause here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Nizar.
Okay.
All right, so we do have a few minutes left for questions. And so I'm going to invite Nizar as well, if you can put your contact info in the chat. And as well, if you want to get in touch with Ali or Nizar, you can also reach out to me. Most of you are probably on the invite, so you can just reply to the invite, and I'll put you in touch with them. So we're going to open it up to questions. So if anyone would like to introduce themselves, give a comment, a question, now's your chance to do that. Okay. So I'm going to ask some questions while we're waiting as well. So I'll start with you, Nizar. So let's talk about some of the different grant options that are available. So can you talk a bit more about what are some of the popular grants that you've seen companies applying for these days?
Yes, one of them was recently mentioned on your one of your webinars, which is the wages subsidy. So if there are any business owners who are eligible, who they had been impacted by the 2020 lockdowns, and they had a major loss in revenue, or they had to lay off a certain number of employees, they can apply for certain grants from the government. That one is the current trendy one nowadays. One of the main criteria, though, is to have a W-2 form for your employees. So if that's something you're eligible for, please feel free to get in touch with us. Another type of grant that some businesses are eligible for is the SHRED. And that one is for people who are building either an app or something related to technology, where they get tax credits by end of the year. This one is also simple and pretty straightforward. So that's what's on top of my head right now. And of course, if you'd like to learn more about what other grants your business specifically eligible for, I have put my eligibility tool here. It only takes 1 minute to fill out this form, and then we can book a session to see what types of funding, whether it's grants, loans, and other types of private funding your business might be eligible for.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for that, Nizar. And I'm going to mention a couple extra ones as well. First of all, I should mention that. So through my company, Crowdlinker, so we've raised well over $1 million worth of grants and other funding. So over the years, so it's something that we have a lot of expertise in, and it's been a huge source of growth capital for us over the years. So not including SHRED, we raised close to $1 million in grants, and if we include SHRED, probably closer to $2 million over the past 10 years. A good chunk of that million was actually in the first few years, like within the first 4 years approximately, I would say. So in the early days, before we had a lot of revenue, the grants that we were getting were a huge lifeline for us and really allowed us to grow the company. So it's something that I encourage a lot of companies to take a look at, different grant opportunities, and as well funding as well. Like in general, like the BDC has been a huge partner for us over time, and taking funds from them has really allowed us to grow. So I can talk about some of the grants that we used as well, that that you might find useful, and a few other ones that we that are on our radar. So I'll talk about one of those first. So one of the ones we haven't used that we would like to, that's on our radar, that's quite popular these days, is the CAN Export. So there's the CAN Export grant. So any companies that are, if you have a service that can be cross-border, like if you can have customers in the United States or other countries, then that can be a good one to apply for. And so grant writers can help you with apply for those grants, and it's a pretty high approval rate. And so that one is there's actually two versions of it. It's a $50,000 and a $75,000 grant, and you can actually apply for both of them. So that's a huge benefit. Aside from that, there's the so some of the grants that benefited us were the Canada Media Fund. So we raised almost $850,000 through the Canada Media Fund, rather. So that was because we were creating like an app. So, and that one was their acceptance rate on that one is lower. So that is a harder one to get, but we were fortunate. We applied actually 3 times, and the third time finally got that one. And another one that we got was the IRAP. So we got $50,000 for IRAP. And that was a good one. So anyone who was doing some sort of like innovative project, like if you want to create like an app or something, or like a new kind of website for automation for your business, like IRAP can be a good source of funds. It does take a little bit longer, and it is a bit more of a dating process. So you want to make sure you have a good grant writer who can put you in touch with the right people there at IRAP, but that is a good source of funds as well. We talked about SHRED. So SHRED is a tax credit, and this is a huge thing. I mean, if you have an ongoing business, like if you have a going concern business and you're making money, you have employees, you can pretty much use this tax credit, and maybe some of these other ones, to fund your digital development. And if you're not thinking about it in that sort of way, if you want to understand more about how that works, like you can reach out to me or one of the other grant writers, and we can explain to you how that works. But basically, you can carve out part of your salary expenses and use that towards covering your digital costs. Now, these aren't like 100%. These tax credits are not 100%, but there are ways that you can get some of your existing employees to start, or maybe even your own salaries can also be covered in this as well. But you can kind of get some of your redivert some of your existing expenses towards these digital projects, which can go a long way towards subsidizing your digital growth. So there's many others as well that are on our radar that we've worked with as well. We mentioned CDAP. Not everyone's going to qualify for that because of the revenue requirements. But basically, the more you start to think about your company as a digital company, like if you start to think about yourself as like a tech company, it opens up a huge opportunity for you to get funding. Because when you look at yourself, if you are a traditional brick and mortar company, so to speak, if you look at yourself from that lens and you don't look at yourself as an innovative company, you're really limiting yourself in terms of the grants and the loans that you can get. But as soon as you take that leap and say, no, I'm going to be a technology focused company, it opens up this huge amount of funding from grants and from private lenders that you can use to really skyrocket your company. And we worked with many companies in this space, companies that come from traditional old school industries that decided to reinvent themselves as technology-focused companies. And so we help them to rank high on Google. We help them with their go-to-market strategy, help them with their technology automation. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, and if you really want to learn how to thrive in the online environment, then I encourage you to reach out to me or one of my colleagues or one of the other speakers here today, so we can kind of brainstorm with you on how you can take your company to the next level. So just have a little bit more time left, just a couple more minutes. I want to take this time to thank our guest speakers. So thank you, Nazar, for taking the time out to speak with us today, and thank you as well, Ali. And yeah, also I want to mention that for anyone who's interested in the CDAP as well, for some of our clients, we're actually providing SEO audits as in conjunction with the CDAP digital adoption plans that we're offering. So this is a limited time opportunity, but there is an opportunity for you to get a very comprehensive SEO audit and SEO plan alongside your digital adoption plan. So that's a limited time opportunity. So if that's something you're interested in, please do reach out to me. So I'm going to go ahead and share the contact info here. So we have in the chat, we have information on how to get in touch with our speakers, as well as Ali's presentation. So I'm going to share that on a whiteboard, and then people who are watching this afterwards can as well take a look at that. Okay, so thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today. If anyone else has questions, we're going to stick around for another couple of minutes to answer your questions, but we're going to stop the recording now, and we're going to let everyone else who needs to go now. Thank you very much for joining us, and we do these talks every 2 weeks. So the next one will be 2 weeks from now at Thursday as well, at the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Pacific time as well. So we always have the same sort of similar theme in our talks, where we talk about how to gain money for your digital initiatives and how you can spend it effectively. So the next one's going to be on April 6th, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Hope to see you there. Take care, everyone.
Cool, Munir. I'm gonna head out too.
Okay, great.
Perfect. Thank you,
Anyone
everyone.
who wants to stick around for a couple minutes, I'll be sticking around to answer any of your questions. Okay, and for those on the recording, we're going to be putting up the contact info for today as well. That'll be on the screen in a moment.
Okay, Munir, I'm gonna be heading out now. I have another Zoom meeting. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. All right, so we have on the screen now the contact info for the presenters today, as well how you can get in touch with me or someone on my team if you're interested in CDAP or any of these other opportunities. So for the CDAP, just go to this website here, www.crowdset.cc/cdap-info. And if you can somehow make out this SEO presentation link, it's available for you there. And then we also have information from Nazar about his services, as well as Ali's SEO services. So this is all up on the screen now.